Hey everybody, it's Tom from the Anime Summit Podcast. Just wanted to give you this intro because I forgot to put a break in the episode again. But right now we are looking at some new sponsors from Podcorn, and that is really cool. If you guys haven't checked out Podcorn, if you are running a podcast right now and you haven't checked out Podcorn, definitely highly recommend it. But anyway, here's me and Noxi on AOQ14 talking about Western comics and the IDW run of TMNT, and you're going to hear like a little break here, and then we'll get into the episode. Anyway, love you guys. Thank you for listening every week, and please follow Project MANGA. Thanks. And he's just like, dude, I'm sorry that I said that to you, and I'm sorry that I was trifling. And Mikey was like, dude, fall back. It ain't even like that.
It ain't even like that. We good. Say no more. You know what I'm saying?
Not
Dap me up. Let me get my pizza. I'll see you next Tuesday. You know what I'm saying?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anime Summit Podcast. It's your favorite host of the most, Sam the Bomb, of course, every week. And you know what? I don't got Nick and Danny with me today, but that's okay. I only have one person with me today, and that is, of course, Brother Nox from Project MANGA Podcast.
Yo.
What's going on?
Glad to be back. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, we had
It's been a while.
Okay, because here's what happened.
Yeah.
You, and for anyone who's listening right now and want to join this Discord, you absolutely should. There's this Discord that Noxi invited me to, that he started, called Comics HQ.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just Western comics. And he's got them all categorized, like, we got Valiant Comics, IDW, Image, Marvel, DC. There's a book club, then there's all, like, the miscellaneous channels where we talk about whatever.
Yeah.
It's great. And I'm like, you know what, I haven't read Western comics in a while, but I want to be a part of anything that Nox is a part of. And
Hey, thank you.
anytime like he invites me to something, I just like why wouldn't I want to go along? This shit's tight.
And we want you to be there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for the plug, sister.
And I just I'm like, you know, I got a lot of these comics I was reading in the channel section. I was like, I got a lot of these. I totally forgot that I started reading a lot of these. Mm-hmm. And Noxi at the time had been like telling everyone, read TMNT. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, okay, I totally forgot this existed. Let me peep game. And I started literally like, I don't know, a week and a half ago, and I'm already on volume 8 of like the collected edition. So that's what we're talking about today. Except we are just talking about volumes 1 and 2. We'll do some non-spoiler discussion and some spoiler discussion. And then the goal is to get you to start reading the IDW run of TMNT, because it's just
Absolutely.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And let me just start off by saying this, right? Now you're probably going over there listening right now going, oh, Sam and Noxi are into Western comics? I didn't know that. Well, you're a bitch, number one. Number two, of course we are. Fucking nerds. I just haven't read them in a while. You know, and of course Noxi has been the catalyst to get me back into everything, starting with manga. So, like, why don't you talk about, well, I know for me, I've been reading them on and off since I was a kid, right? Because
for sure.
The store where we would get Pokemon cards, I would get comics from. And my first ever comic was, and I don't remember the issue number, but it was, it basically was like it was the comic before Onslaught was gonna like show up. It was an X-Men comic.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, basically they find the Bishop and Psylocke find the Juggernaut just knocked out in the middle of the city. And they're like, what happened? It's like, dude, is that the Juggernaut?
It's like, how can you even do that?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was possible.
I think the little slogan on the front of the comic was, who stopped the Juggernaut? Because it was just like, how? And they woke him up, and he woke up in a fritz, like, oh my god, he's coming for me, we gotta run. And Bishop knocks him out, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy gets him to calm down. He's like, okay, calm
That's my
down.
guy.
Who's coming, dude? And then the last panel is literally Juggernaut just going, Onslaught.
Yeah.
That was my first comic. Then I got back into them when I started reading, or when I started playing HeroClix in high school.
Ooh.
And I still,
Yes.
yeah, I still play once in a while, and it's really
Okay.
fun. There's actually Turtles Clicks, by the way, too, and I think they made them because of the IDW comics, and then when Nickelodeon acquired them. So like, and then also,
I wonder if there's a tabletop simulator for HeroClix, because it's like I want to play HeroClix, but my son is at that age where he just wants to grab everything and bring them to places you don't know about. So I'd rather not have that happen to me.
Right. I bet you there is, and I'll look after this. And then I got really into Image Comics. I got really into Kick-Ass, really into Mark Millar stuff.
Yes, Mark Millar was in his bag with Kick-Ass, and just in like that whole time period, I feel like he was doing a lot of really good shit.
Superior, Nemesis. Those were...
That was like early 2000s, right? So he was still in the Ultimate Universe over at Marvel, doing like X-Men and Spider-Man and Fantastic
It was like
Four
like late 2000s, I think, when he did Nemesis.
Sure.
But yeah, Kick-Ass was like mid earlier 2000s, because the movie I think came out 2008 or 2007 or something.
Right.
But yeah, Wanted was like 2007, 2006. But like, yeah, really into. So my favorite superhero, if you ask me right now, it is Kick-Ass. And although that's like kind of changing right now, reading TMNT. But anyway, Noxi, like, what's your experience with comics, and like, what's your favorite shit right now? What was your shit growing up? Like, what was your stuff?
Sure, yeah. I've been reading comic books just like you since I was a kid, pretty much since I could learn how to read. Like, one of my earliest memories, maybe even my earliest memory, is me holding a comic in my hand, Amazing Spider-Man #2, first appearance of the Vulture.
Jesus.
My grandmother, my grandmother used to send me care packages from Chicago with like old ass comics in it. You know what I mean? Like Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, like era Marvel comics, and there was some DC in there too. But I gravitated towards the Marvel comics.
Like you're talking like Golden Age, like late Golden Age Ditko stuff, and
yeah. So like you have the ages are a little bit different in Marvel, like compared to like DC, because like DC was like the first superheroes or whatever, Superman action comics, right? So like that's Golden Age, like 40s to like 50s or whatever, and then Silver Age like 50s to 70s. I don't remember exactly how the brackets work off the top of my head, but yeah, it was like 60s, 1965 to 1970, whatever, Ditko, Lee, Kirby era. And then, I gravitated to Spider-Man, as most kids did. But then outside of that, once I started reading more comics, I gravitated towards X-Men and the Fantastic Four. So those were like my three properties, throughout my entire life that I read the most. You know what I mean? So I've been reading comics forever, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I really low-key used to hate Superman. Just like everyone else, it's like, oh well, nothing can beat him, he's powerful or whatever.
Yeah, you think he's lame. You're like, the stories can't be good, and then you read All-Star Superman and you're like, oh wait a minute. No, this is an incredible character.
Right, yeah.
I need to read like way more of this character. Yeah. So that's what did it for me with Superman. Otherwise I was in the same boat. I was like, fuck this guy, he's a douche.
Yeah.
Looks like a douche. Probably acts like a douche. It's too strong.
And then
it's got too many things.
I remember there was this big tournament for HeroClix, and I think it was just like a win a box or win a case, which is a brick, which is 10 boosters, which is there's 4 figures or 5 figures in each booster. Well, it used to be 4, now it's 5. But like this was right when they changed to 5, right when they started adding the cards. And you could use any team you wanted. It didn't have to be, there was no limit. It was like unlimited format or whatever. So somebody brought a version of the Superman from Kingdom Come.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And
the Alex Ross one.
Yeah.
Oh, was it like super high detailed, like Alex Ross art?
It was pretty good.
Was it like photorealism?
Those sculpts are super rare. Like they're really fucking rare. Yeah, and it was so cool. And I was like, why does this Superman look like? What's the story between this Superman? Because there's the Kingdom Come power in HeroClix, And I remember him explaining it to me, and I was just like, that's amazing. Like, it's badass. And
Yeah.
I've been into Superman ever since. But
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Kingdom Come is a great first Superman story because it's a deconstruction almost for the most part. You know what I mean? It's an Elseworlds book that like shows you the kind of Superman, you know, and the kind of, you know, superheroes period that you just wouldn't see in like mainline continuity. Right.
Yeah.
So like for everybody that like, you know, because everybody's heard of Superman, it's the most recognizable, one of the most recognizable characters in pop culture and just history. You know what I mean? So like, and everyone, you know, and their mom knows this kind of the story of Superman at this point. So like jumping into Kingdom Come and seeing, you know, that version of Superman for your first time in comic book form could be really interesting to a lot of people to know that there's that side of Superman available.
yeah, I love it. I highly recommend for anyone who hasn't read it yet.
Absolutely.
But anyway, let's get to the task at hand. Dude, Waifu and his bando is this. Waifu and his bando of the week is Shredder and Splinter.
Kitsune!
I was going to say...
Oh, wait. Shredder and who?
And Splinter, because
Oh.
they're obsessed with each other. But no, dude, yeah, let's
That's
do
hilarious.
it. No, I agree, though. Shredder and Kitsune are Casey and April. Like,
That's the power couple. That's the power couple.
dude, yeah. The brains and the brawn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, let's dive in. Let's jump into it. Now, I'll say this. My experience with TMNT is actually I've seen probably every cartoon show up to like I didn't watch much of the 3D Nickelodeon one.
Yeah.
I did watch some of the newest Nickelodeon one. That one is actually like the animation in that's super sick.
Okay.
But like my favorite one is probably the 2003 one. I really like the 2003 cartoon.
Absolutely.
And the movies, the live action movies, and the new live action movies, which I'll get to in a little bit here.
Yeah.
I
feel like that's the sweet spot, though. I feel like if you have, like, for the IDW run on TMNT specifically that we're going to be discussing tonight, I feel like it's gonna it's just a good story, period. You know, even if you're not a fan of TMNT.
Yes.
But like, I feel like the sweet spot is if you have very like light experience with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And that's exactly I have had just
Right.
the average experience.
Right,
Plus
right.
the toys.
That's perfect.
Like I've had the toys,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
for someone in my age range, in my generation, who grew up with those toys and movies, that I've had that average experience. And like, so going into this, you know, boy,
Yeah.
dude,
It's some shit.
It is. And, well, so what was your experience? Was it like mine, or were you like?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was pretty similar.
I will say that I read some of the original Eastman ones when I got way older, but I never
never did.
continued with them.
Yeah, I never did. I never read any of the original Mirage comics. I'm pretty sure they were over at Archie too for a little bit.
Yeah, there's like Archie World, yeah.
Yeah, I never did anything like that. My experience was very average. You know what I mean? Like I had toys. You know what I mean? Because my parents were fans. You know, to a certain degree. So they'd be like, check out. I think I was introduced to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in toy form, and then you know, my parents had the movies on VHS. And that was about it until the 2003 TV show on Fox Kids, right? I think Saturday morning. I think is where it was syndicated.
The 2003 one, yeah, Fox Kids, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah. Other than that, you know what I mean. And I never like actually watched the Michael Bay movies. You know what I mean. Like I knew they existed. They would be on in the background. You know what I mean. Like if somebody else was watching TV, and I'd be like, oh, cool, Turtles, and I'd watch
Right.
a little bit,
Right.
go back on my phone or whatever. It was never the kind of investment that I find myself in now with the IDW run, and I've kind of become something of, you know, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles evangelist, you know, on like Twitter and shit. Like I'm constantly trying to bring people into the fold and show them this incredible iteration of this intellectual property.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel like the world needs to see this shit. They need to read this shit. If you're a comic book fan, period. If you like to read anything, you know what I mean? And if you're not even a comic fan, like there's something here for everybody.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, because I haven't been on Twitter for a couple of years now, and so I was literally just watching Noxi talk about it on the Discord, and he was even going in the Project Manga Discord and saying, "One Piece sucks. You should go read this instead." You know, he didn't say that, but like you know, for real.
Hey, depending on my mood, I might be liable to say some shit like that. You know, depending on how I'm feeling at any given moment, because there are peaks inside of my original reading of IDW Turtles where I was like, this is the tightest shit I've ever read. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, that's recency bias, defined. But I was, I was throwing it up there with like everything, like in the heat of the moment. You know what I mean? And a lot of those feelings have stayed. You know what I mean? Like once the dust settles, you know what I mean, and the recency bias kind of goes away, I still consider it the best ongoing indie comic that I'm reading right now.
Honestly, it's. And I have to pick up Deadly Class again because I found my Deadly Class. I found my Deadly Class comics, but right now, currently, it is the greatest like comic I'm reading right now. And I was reading really TMNT and Power Rangers crossover, which
I haven't done that one.
I have the first like 3 issues, and I think there's like 5 or 6. But that was really cool. It's actually pretty sweet, and I wonder if they're going to be included in these compendiums. I don't think they are, right? Are they?
No, I don't think the Power Rangers Ninja Turtles crossover is canon.
Okay. Yeah,
so I don't think it would be collected. The only things that are collected in like the IDW collection are the things that are actually canon to the overarching narrative. So,
gotcha.
Yeah,
that
so like
sense.
the Batman TMNT crossover, I don't think is canon. And the Power Rangers TMNT crossover, I don't think is canon either.
Okay. So, by the way, that's what Noxi had me read, you guys, was the trade paperback, the collected. So it's got like probably like 380 some pages in each book worth of. So like there's like
they're chunky.
They're chunky.
Yeah. They're like it's like 350 to like 460, I think is the range that you'll see.
Yeah.
And then you have like the main run of issues. It's like you have like the main line, story of TMNT, and that's just issue 1 to like I think we're at 119 or 120 now.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's 119. So you have 1 to 119, and then on the side you have all of these micro series, you have all of these spin-offs, you have all of these tie-ins and all of these extra events that are all canon. And the IDW collection, bakes those into the compendium for you in chronological order. So, like if you were following it from the beginning, you would get like an issue a month of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 1 through whatever. And then like on the side, like bi-weekly, you would get micro series, or weekly you would get, some other kind of lore related or, overarching narrative related spinoff.
Right.
And then following that, would be pretty hectic, but luckily, trade paperbacks and compendiums, they take all of that after they've come out and they put them, in a collection for you in chronological order, so you don't have to worry about all that shit.
Right. So, for example, the first volume has like 12 issues plus like 5 micro stories. One's just called A Lot to Learn. One's Raphael. Yep. One's Michelangelo. One, later. When you get later into the volumes, you'll see that there's like ones that just kind of focus on a character and they're kind of narrating the story. And then you'll get to like issue number 15, right? And then they'll say something like, "Oh yeah, back when so and so happened," right? And they'll leave, there's a little author's note that references it, so you can be like,
they give you that narration, that like skinny yellow, narration box where it's like, peep. TMNT issue number 15 if you want context on this. You see that in comic books all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really trying to build a universe, you know what I mean? Like they really
are.
care about this shit, bro. Like the passion that you can feel in the IDW run of TMNT, and I haven't, read, Mirage or Archie or whatever, but everyone that I've talked to about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that is familiar with all of the other branches or all the other arms of the property, they all say that IDW is the quintessential definitive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles run. You know what I mean?
It really is.
And I can't argue with it, 1, because I haven't read anything else, and 2, because I'm just fucking head over heels in love with this shit right now.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And comparing it to like the lore that I have followed and thought was one way, it's always been kind of the same in like the way it was for me was I thought that Splinter was a rat just copying ninja shit, and then he found some
That's
turtles.
what I remember.
Yeah. And
Yes.
and then he found some ooze from TGRI, and it mutated them. And his master was Hamato Yoshi, but originally Splinter is Hamato Yoshi, and we'll explain that later. But anyway,
yes, I just want to say this right now: reincarnation trope done right.
Fucking crazy.
That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna spoil too much about it because I know we're in the non-spoiler area right now. But it's a reincarnation plot. And it's not whatever you'd think from that, because I know that there is a lot of criticism surrounding that that storytelling mechanism,
right?
And just historically, and to think about it, I was actually talking with my buddy Scott one time in a group chat, and I can't even think of too many stories that even use the reincarnation angle. You know what I mean? Off the top of my head, obviously they exist. You know what I mean? But it's not something where very many instances of that being a massive narrative point come to mind. Reincarnation's in a lot of things, but it being one of the primary themes of a series, I feel like that's pretty rare.
Well, also because people are afraid that people are worried that if they do it right, that people are gonna say oh, that's a cop out or whatever.
Right.
It's easy, which is
very easily get to that
because people have done that. Where they've been oh, by the way, here's Dom from Fast and Furious. Even though we killed him 5 times, he's reincarnated. You know what I mean? That's why. That's why there's 20 movies now. But
I have no idea what the story of Fast and Furious looks like. I've only ever watched the first 2 movies, and I just have not cared about the franchise since then. So
I watched the first 3, and that was enough. But yeah, so just to summarize really quick.
Yeah.
The way it starts is Raphael is missing. You don't even start with Raphael. It starts with the 3 and Splinter. Yeah. And within the first volume, within the first 4 or 5 issues, you see that the Turtles and Splinter were lab experiments at StockGen. And April interns there, and she names the Turtles those names. And
because she's a Renaissance era major or whatever, I think is what we find out.
She had been currently taking art history at that time too. Yeah,
and, that's right.
And so, or Renaissance history, I think. Yeah, and
something like that. Yeah.
And so then, some shit goes down. The Turtles get out, and then a fucking street cat, nabs Raphael away from Splinter and the other 3, and they get thrown in with some ooze, some of the mutagen.
Right. Yes.
And that's how it happens. And then what's great about it is there's a point where they reunite with April, and it's really nice. It's so good. It
is so good. And here's what I love about that beginning of the story is because I don't know if this is explained at all in any other iteration of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but when you meet the Turtles, no matter when you meet them, you know what these personalities are. Leonardo's the meditating leader, Michelangelo's the stoner pizza eater, skateboarder guy,
Goofy.
And then Donatello, is the techie kid, and then Raphael is the hothead loner. I've always known that, but never knew why. I just was these are just the character archetypes that they chose for these characters. But IDW's run on TMNT gives you that context as to why Raphael is the hothead loner. He had to grow up after mutation away from everybody else. You know what I mean? They got doused in the ooze. The cat picked him up, brought him away from everyone else. Splinter took the other 3 turtles back to home base. They mutated. They all grew up. And then a long time goes by where Raphael is just out there alone before they're reunited.
Grew up on the streets.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he's on the streets. He's in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? Fighting for his life. You know what I mean?
What is he supposed to do?
Yeah, giving that context to why Raphael is the way that he is just so massive. Was so massive to me when I was reading it for the first time.
Also, a fucking normal human looks at him and they freak out. So he has to hide.
Yeah,
all the time.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. The IDW run on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles it gives you everything that you remember or even love about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, while also bringing in these new ideas that all fit inside of this cohesive storyline. You know what I mean?
They took existing lore from literally every property. The 2003 cartoon, the fucking the original 3 movies, the 80s cartoon, the figures even.
Yes.
It's
just a fully realized version
and just a
of all of those
realized version. Yes.
Yes.
And not only that, the way they did it was like, okay, well, in order to do this story good, we're going to have to do sci-fi, fantasy, history action, martial arts action.
Yeah.
We got to throw in a little romance. Obviously, we got comedy. Don't worry, Mike's the comic relief. And we also got to throw in a little bit of time travel. Like,
yes. It's wild. Like, you get this massive breadth of storytelling, and it's pretty, like you were saying, it's pretty much every genre in one series, or at least, you know, a massive handful or two of them, you know what I mean? But it never feels like it's too much.
No.
Like, the pacing is pretty much perfect. You never feel you know, inundated by the very high number of concepts and just overall moving parts. There's a calming balance in the series in that way that is just very impressive to see in a series like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because there is a stigma there. You know what I mean? When I try to tell people, you know, read IDW TMNT, and you're like, the Turtle Ninjas? And it's like, yeah, it's like the children's show, and it's like,
no.
Well, yeah, but like, no, you know what I mean? And it's very hard because people just assume that it's just like an old head intellectual property, and that it can't be that good, and that it's just for something nostalgic for old heads to overhype, you know, or something like that. And it's like, no, it's a good story first and foremost. It's an incredible story first and foremost. Right. You know what I mean? And then if you were a fan, you get all kinds of, you know, fan service and nods, you know what I mean, to your time as a fan. You know what I mean? The original creators are involved to a certain degree. You got Kevin Eastman writing a great deal of the beginning of the series, and still, you know, involved in a lot of the decision making in the current story. He even does a lot of the art for the series. He'll draw entire chapters for annuals. He'll draw variant covers. He's very involved. Peter Laird isn't as involved because of their, you know, very weird history that you can look into. But Peter Laird has come back into the fold recently to do things like Last Ronin with Kevin Eastman. You know what I mean? So the passion inside of the project is incredible, and you get incredible artists all. Okay, so this is one of my favorite things about IDW TMNT is that you get like rotating artists. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like, you
yeah.
have so many.
Sorry, I totally skipped over that. Yeah.
You have so many art. Like, you have a different artist pretty much every arc. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? Like, some of the artists, you know, leave, you know, a little bit to be desired. But you have incredible artists that come in, like Mateus Santaluco.
Dude.
Santaluco. The art jumps off the page. You know what I mean? Like, it jumps at you.
I can't believe it.
Yeah,
the
and then
coloring is like, and also they keep that roughness and splatter of like the original Mirage comics.
Sure.
And it's just like, they don't have to do that. I don't think Santaluco's art really needs that, but he still does it, and it just
Yeah, fire. Then you have artists like Sophie Campbell, who brings a very soft, human, you know, aesthetic to the Turtles. You know what I mean? They seem smoother. They have more human features and facial expressions. You know what I mean? So it's very good for, you know, those introspective arcs like Northampton, which we can talk about later in the spoiler section if we ever get to it. Then you also have artists like David Peterson. I don't know if you've definitely seen David Peterson right now. He's the one with the very I don't know if he's a colorist as well, but like, he's the one that has the very dull colors, you know, and the less human features inside of the Turtles. He has like really strong, bulky anatomy. It looks a lot like the Mirage version, but just like a little bit more refined and updated for the times. Yeah. Amazing list of artists on the project.
This is my first experience with Sophie Campbell, by the way, and I love it. Her art style is really cool. It's really nice.
Might be my favorite artist at the end of the day on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's really,
if I had a gun to my head, I'd probably choose Sophie.
I like Ben Bates as well, who did 15, 16, like they did 15. Oh no, they did 18, 17. I like Ben Bates. I love Paul McCaffrey, who did Fugitoid, the first Fugitoid
Ooh, the first Fugitoid story, the art was fire. I remember being like,
So
oh
good.
shit, okay, the art's getting kind of crazy now.
Right. It's so good. And it's refreshing,
Yeah.
too. It's
Yeah.
super refreshing. Okay, we're in a new arc. Like, they chose these artists on purpose. For, like, they
Right.
were like, okay, we're doing the City Fall arc. This is going to be some crazy shit. Who we doing?
We need Mateus Santaluco.
We need Santaluco.
Call him up.
Call Santaluco, get him on the phone. I wanted pictures of Spider-Man yesterday. Like, it's so amazing. And, like, the Northampton arc, they're trying to get away. They're trying to settle down. Sophie Campbell.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
just like...
It's perfect.
It's-
It always makes sense.
And let me tell you this, too. The whole blend of genre things, right?
Right.
It's like, it's not that it can't be done. It's just
Right.
rare that it's good when it is done.
Right.
But how do you make it this good? This is
It's
1 in 10,000.
yeah, for
Good.
real. No. You are spinning right now, Sam, because it's like it's the decision making. You know what I mean? It's you look at the project, you look at the history of the IP, and you go, okay, what worked, what didn't, and it feels like they went, okay, let's grab everything that worked, put it over here. Let's grab everything that didn't work. Do we use it? We don't have to, but if we do want to use it, how can we improve it so that it fits over here in this other pile?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, like you have all of the old characters, you know what I mean? You know, that you remember
Yes.
from any experience that you have with TMNT. But then the new characters fit right in as if they've always been there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I legitimately, when I was reading the series for the first time, I was reading about new characters that have never been in comic book form or in television form in any kind of way. And I just remember going like, oh yeah, these are probably just characters that have always been there and I didn't know. But then also people that I put on to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that started reading it was like, oh yeah, I saw my guy Hob. Yeah, I remember Hob. And it's like, no, you don't, because that's a brand new character.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
a brand new
right.
character for IDW. You know what I mean? So it's like they feel perfect in the story. They fit right in.
They do.
Like they've always been there.
And I had to look it up, too, because I thought Hob was an old character, too, just thinking, oh,
Right.
he's a figure. But no, he's not.
He's
But-
not. He's brand new to IDW, right?
And
Yeah,
they
that's
introduce
so
him right
crazy.
away. He's right away in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Right. I think that's why you think he's always been there, because it's like, why would you start the series with brand new characters in any kind of capacity? Why wouldn't you want to kind
Right.
of nod, you know, to the people who have been here the whole time or whatever? That's kind of like how I was thinking about it. But yeah, man, it's perfect in that way.
And you never... Look, I'm 8 volumes in right now.
Yeah.
You never question. There's never been a moment where I was reading and I was like, okay, but wait, what about this thing that happened?
Right.
You never do that.
Yeah.
It's too cohesive, too good to be true. Like it's
Too good to be true is the perfect statement.
How do you do that?
Right. Right.
They hit
and it's
the lottery
wild
with this
because they did hit the lottery with this one, and it's so impressive that yes, impressive, but it's like almost like mind-blowing that like this IP is getting this treatment, because like I was saying, like they want to build this massive universe and this overarching narrative, and they succeed with top marks in like every decision that I feel like they want to make. Like all of the characters, like everyone gets deep and nuanced character arcs. You know what I mean? If you have a favorite character, they're for sure getting hella shine and spotlight. If
yeah.
you meet a new character you're interested in and go, I hope we get more from them later, you absolutely will. Even the fucking pizza guy gets growth and development.
Yeah.
Even the pizza guy, Woody. The guy who gives Michelangelo his pizza, gets a fucking character arc. You know what I mean? And the character arcs vary. You know what I mean? Like I feel like none of the characters go through similar things personally. Like inside of the Turtles specifically, it's like, okay, it's like a coming of age story for them inside of the team. But then individually, they go on very different character journeys. You know what I mean? And outside of the main cast, you have characters going through arcs like, you know, that touches on things like sentience and existentialism, revenge, excessive parenting,
Moral quandaries.
You get characters with like checkered past trying to redeem themselves. You literally get like everything inside of this beautiful cast of characters, and it doesn't stop. Like the quality, like, okay, so like the first volume is a very good introductory volume. It lets you know everything you need to know. It does everything it needs to do. It's not, and it does have everything you want. It's got action. It's compelling the whole time, you know, but like the first volume and then even going into the second volume, you know, some people can say, I didn't think so, but some people say, you know, it's kind of slow. So I have to tell them, once you get to that last arc of the second volume, the story takes off. And it's just infinitely increasing quality from that point on. It just keeps going up and up. And even when you think it can't get any better, it doubles down and goes, oh, you thought? Okay, well, here you go. And then it throws another wild arc at you that, and it's not just wild for wild's sake. It's not just action for action's sake. Like, you assume a lot about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even if someone tells you to forget everything about it before you go into it. There's still that, like, back of the mind stigma there that tells you it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man. But once you get 3, 4, 5 volumes in, you're like, this is not your dad's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean? And it's one of the best feelings ever, because even though I went into it with what I consider to be, you know, a clean slate, like, I still felt myself around every corner where I thought I could predict something going, no, they zagged where I thought they would zig. You know what I mean? And the predictability, the predictability of the series is insane. You know what I mean? Because, like, it raises the stakes and it lets wild things happen that you know will go back to normal. Like, characters, I don't want to say too much, I don't want to spoil anything, but, like, whatever drastic things happens that you think can't be permanent, even if it's not permanent, you know what I mean? The impact from those moments and from those arcs lasts for a long time and changes characters permanently. So even though we knew, oh yeah, this character was definitely going to do this, or this character, you know, I don't want to spoil too much. Like, the execution is so well done and it creates so many new plot points that it's totally fine, even inside of the things that are predictable. Now, there is a great deal of things that aren't predictable inside of TMNT. There's going to be a lot of times where you are positive that you know how something is going to go, and then it's going to flip the script on you, and you're going to go, holy shit. But then there's also times where you're going to go, okay, I knew this was going to happen, but it's still nuanced. You know what I mean? It still has extra things that you weren't expecting on top of it. And that is just something that shows a incredible self-awareness inside of the creative team. Not only of just the history of the IP, but also just the history of fictional storytelling in general. You know what I mean? And that's something that you just don't expect from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Spot on. Spot on. It just, like,
had to go in.
That's literally, and I literally don't know, after you listen to this, I literally don't know how you don't start it after that. But, like, it's too, the amount of care and the amount of attention, especially with somebody who had just the average knowledge, like Noxi and I did. There are things that when I was reading it, too, I was like, oh, that's in the first movie. Oh, they did that from the cartoon show, like, whatever, right? They took the grittiness from the original comics, except didn't put too much, so that way the comic relief still worked, right? The funny parts still worked, and
absolutely.
And they took just the good feeling of the good guys winning from the movies, the cartoon show, and other little details just all over the place, and they're still the characters you love, just told in this greater, more expanded story, and it's just fucking nuts.
And it's not just the same story arcs over and over either. Like, IDW knows how and when to move on so that you never get that, you know, cheesy or campy feeling, right? Because the stakes are always high, but it's balanced, you know? Like, if you get too dark or too edgy, then it won't feel like Turtles anymore. But if you turn up the camp too much, then it becomes too much like the children's show. And it goes back to what I was saying. There's a calming balance throughout the entire series in every way that it can get crazy in one direction or another. There's balance there. And it's just beautiful.
And I will say this too. So I watched the Paramount movies, the 2 live action ones.
There's another one coming out from Paramount that Michael Bay is directing, I heard. Or Michael Bay
Seth
is involved
Rogen
with it. Seth Rogen is producing it?
Really? I thought it was Michael Bay producing, Seth Rogen writing.
It could be that. It could be that. It could be the opposite.
But I think they're doing.
And I don't know anything about it. I just heard about it today. So,
oh, okay. I know. Yeah, I don't remember, but I'm excited for it. But
for sure.
I was excited for those movies, the Michael Bay ones. Mm-hmm. Everybody else thought that it looked stupid.
I thought it looked fine.
I was
a big Transformers fan for the first couple movies too. So I was like, all right, Michael Bay, do your thing on Turtles too. Let's see it.
Same. And So the turtle origin story in the movie is I thought it was kind of dumb. At least just with the ninjutsu part, like how they learn ninjutsu. I thought that part was kind of lame.
Yeah.
But in terms of them being in a lab and April naming them,
Yes.
and that is, they took it from this comic.
Oh, damn. Yeah. Because when did the original Michael Bay movies come out?
Like 2014?
Oh, yeah. They for sure snatched that.
Yeah, they were trying to adapt the origin story from this comic, except...
Wow.
And I think...
Just goes to show the movies want to take this material and adapt it, so...
Right. And so
You know what I'm saying?
I think what the plan was, because they did so poorly,
Yeah.
the movies did poorly, I think the plan was to adapt more of the origin story later, and that would have explained why Splinter and Shredder know each other, know ninjutsu or whatever the fuck. But
Right.
they didn't get a chance to do that, obviously. So...
Right.
But like in this comic, it's really good. And it kind of makes me sad that they didn't do a third movie of it. Because Bebop and Rocksteady in the second movie are literally like one of my favorite parts about it. It's so good,
Bro.
They're so fucking funny.
That is like one of the my favorite things about the IDW run on Ninja Turtles is because they made Bebop and Rocksteady credible threats. They made them wildly capable inside of this series. So like when I was watching, the 2003 adaptation and anything else that I had seen, Bebop and Rocksteady were like the meathead idiot, like buddy cop duo.
Team
What
Rocket.
I mean? Like, yeah, Team Rocket type shit. You know what I mean? And that was fine for back then. But then you go into TMNT IDW and you're introduced to, not only do they have an incredible origin story, but like everyone does, but like also you're like, okay, here's the meathead dumb duo that is just going to be comedic relief and fucking try to run at it, but they both try to run at a turtle from opposite sides, and then the turtle backflips and then they fucking headbutt each other and fall over and then they're defeated. That's like how it was all the time in the older, in the old show and in the older comics, I want to say, or maybe even in other areas of adaptation. But in the comic,
in the Super Nintendo version of Turtles in Time, that's how you beat them, by the way.
Really?
You make them run into each other, yeah.
Yeah, you make them run into each other. You see that in IDW TMNT. You know what I mean? So you still get that, but like they're still wildly capable. You know what I mean? Like they get shit done as villains, even though they're dumb. You know what I mean? And
which is also like can add to the danger,
decision.
right? You got two dummies with a lot of power. Like
there's the stakes. It all goes into the stakes. It all connects perfectly. It all feels amazing the entire time.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So wait, hold on a second. I gotta get reminded here. I'm kind of clicking around.
Sure.
What are the arcs in the first two? We have the beginning, right? And then what's the
so like in the first volume, I'm just looking here. It's pretty much all
origin or build up.
It's pretty much all initial world building. So like you get like most of this first volume is going to be like issue 1 through whatever. I think it's issue 1 through 12. And then you get the Leonardo micro, you get the Splinter micro,
Donatello.
You get the Michelangelo and Raphael, and I don't think you get the Donatello micro in this first volume. I think you might get it in the second. But yeah, it's literally just like character building, world building, initial series, plot line, narrative establishment, like it should. And then you go into volume 2. Okay? And then you start getting the Casey Jones micro, and then continuing mainline run issues, and then you get the Fugitoid, like stuff with all that. But then towards the end of the volume, the last arc is the secret history of the Foot Clan, and this is one of the biggest world building arcs
oh my God.
in the whole series. It literally, like from the last arc of the second volume, the series skyrockets into an area that can be considered peak fiction. Like it literally just continues from the end of volume 2, from volume 3, volume 4 on, and you just get consistently increasing quality.
It's also the first time you see Matteo Santaluco art, and then he does...
That is also the first time you see Matteo Santaluco art, and let me tell you right now, this man was in his bag in the Secret History arc with the art and the pencils. I don't know if he colors them too, Nope, colors by Joro Azatona Vieira. So shout out to them because the colors,
Fucking
colors
nuts.
perfectly complement the pencils.
So
and
nutty.
It just brings you into a completely different tone for TMNT aesthetically. But then the storytelling inside of Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz perfectly matches the potency of the art. So you just have this entirely new situation inside of TMNT that you weren't ready to get to. You know what I mean? It's a very drastic pivot. It's a very drastic turning point in the storytelling because it's like when Luffy first goes Gear second in One Piece. It's like whatever other drastic pivot or turning point you can think of inside of a popular fictional series that you might be familiar with. It's like that moment, and it's very early. And then there's like 9 more volumes after that, 10 more volumes after that. And it just keeps getting better and building off of that. You know what I mean? It's some of the coolest shit I ever saw in comics, to be honest with you. And I don't know if that's just because of the actual quality itself, or if it's because I was expecting something less from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or what. But it was just like a perfect storm. It's lightning in a bottle, in my opinion.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, lightning in a bottle is probably the best way to say it.
Yeah.
It literally is. The secret history of the Foot Clan is. Oh my god! Like it's just like the like if the art wasn't already bringing it to life, to literally show you what the fuck is up. To quote Master Splinter, because he says, "I already know what is up, my friend." Like
my sons.
Yeah, he's hilarious. It fucking that last page by itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't get me started.
That is the last page, and then you close the book and you go, okay, well, I guess I have to read the rest of this now.
Yeah,
that's
like,
literally what
happened to me.
Yeah,
like TMNT grabs you, it yanks you in. You know what I mean? It grabs you, it yanks you in, it puts you in a sleeper hold. You pass out, and then you just have the best dream you've ever had.
Like.
That's what it feels like to read TMNT IDW.
You gotta understand, I'm DMing Noxi and posting in the Comics HQ Discord, and I'm like, let me tell you something. He didn't even let me post the image before he knew. He was like, you are describing this scene, and I'm like, fuck yeah. And I posted the image, and then we cried together. It was awesome.
Yes. It was an amazing experience.
Absolutely nutty. Absolutely nutty. And oh man, just it's so good. And I gotta tell you, well, actually, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What is your favorite moment in Volume 1, and what's your favorite moment in Volume 2, aside from that last page?
Oh, aside from that last page. Okay, well, I'm going to start with Volume. Okay, I guess I'll go in chronological order. Okay, so in Volume 1, just off the top of my head, my favorite thing about Volume 1 is the context that we get on why Raphael is the way that he is. His little character journey in the first volume when he meets Casey and they kind of like do their buddy cop shit, you know what I mean, for a little bit in the streets of New York.
Yeah.
And then when he finally comes back in this big brawl to meet his brothers, you know, for the first time since mutating, is just like one of the most wholesome moments that you'll ever see in comic books, especially if you have light experience with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles going into it. Going into Volume 2, the action is the action in the Secret History of the Foot Clan arc at the end of Volume 2, and of course we're not going to go into too many spoilers still because we're still in the non-spoiler section, but the action really took me by surprise because I was not familiar with Mateus Santaluco's art. So this is like the first time where the art really spoke to me and really jumped out at me and said, this is some of the best art, period, that you've seen in comics. You know what I mean? And Mateus Santaluco's perspectives, like when the Turtles, and I will say this one part because this is a really drastic action scene, and if you can't see it, then it's not really too much of a spoiler.
Dude, if you want to go into spoilers, you totally could right now.
We can segue from this into spoilers, but I do feel like this isn't too much of a spoiler, right? Because it's them in the turtle van, and it's not the turtle van yet, it's just April's van. You know what I mean? And they're driving and they're chasing these ninjas. And they have this thing, which I won't say what it is, but they're chasing these ninjas from the Foot Clan trying to get this thing. And the turtles hop out of the van. They jump on the top of the van. The ninjas are jumping on the top of the car that they're chasing. And, you know, they're like bumper to bumper. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're going through this concaving, you know, underground tunnel. And Mateus Santaluco captures that perspective beautifully. Raphael jumps out, like Leonardo was like, Raphael, you need to go fight those ninjas and get that shit back. And he's like, bet, say less. Jumps off the top of the van and jumps onto the car that they're chasing, squares up with the ninja, beats his ass. And then, you know, Karai, the lady ninja that everyone knows from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you don't, that's probably the best, you know, female character in the entire series. But she jumps on the top of the car to go square up with Raphael, kicks him off the car. And as he's falling off the car, he throws a shuriken that has a tracking chip in it.
Oh, so good.
And she blocks it with like a suitcase and then throws it back in the car. And then they get back in, Raphael, and they're like, Raphael, you good? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. I got the tracker in there. We're good. Let's just chill. Let's fall back. Let's let them think they lost us. And then they go back to go find him after that because the tracker. And it's like, that's some of the tightest choreography like in the series up until that point. It's so it's such a cold-blooded scene. You know what I mean?
Which, by the way, Raphael does something like that in the second movie, the second Paramount Michael Bay movie.
Oh, nice.
He jumps out the back of the van and clotheslines two people on bikes.
Let's go!
And then knocks out one other dude on the bike behind it and then jumps back and goes, all right, we're good.
Yeah. Amazing.
Going kind of into let's just do this because I can't say my favorite moments without spoiling. So
right.
If you
should we just segue into spoilers?
Yeah, dude, we should, and I will tell
you
right now.
Hopefully that was a good non-spoiler segment for anyone who, even if you like, we're just not expecting this topic at all before you started this episode. Like, hopefully you stayed up until this point and you have like a good idea of like what makes this series great. If you need any help reading this series at all, holler at me on Twitter at Noxi_PM. Holler at me in my Discord, like literally anywhere. I live to help people start Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And either me or Sam will get you together. I promise you.
Yeah, no, for real, really, yeah, for real, do that. And you're gonna hear this when you hear our seasonal first impressions episode this week as a bonus ep. So like, whatever. This is literally what I've been doing while watching a bunch of new shows for first impressions. So like, I get too animated out and I just read Ninja Turtles for a little bit, and it just is like, it's so perfect. It's perfect as like a break book and a focus book. It's literally, it doesn't matter because you're just so enthralled in the universe every time you read it.
It's literally got something for every single person who would ever want to pick it up. If you're into comic books, if you're into fiction, if you're into fantasy, if you're into literally any of the genres that the series encompasses or tries to include, it's gonna be good for you, period.
It's gonna be good. Yeah, for real. And so I was gonna say, spoilers, so stop now if you don't want it. The end of Volume 1 is my favorite Volume 1 moment.
Ooh.
And because, and let me tell you why. Because number one, the final battle or final thing, the final plot that happens in Volume 1, and I understand that this is just like the trade, you know. So obviously, if you were reading it monthly, it wouldn't have came off like this. But they even are very careful to pick how to end the volumes. So, the way that this first introduction arc ends is literally how the first 90s movie ends. Splinter gets captured by Shredder, and they have to go rescue him. And it's the first time all four turtles fight Shredder and basically really meet him for the first time.
Yeah.
And I felt like when I was reading it, I could hear, if you've never heard the original soundtrack before to that movie, the song that they use when they're battling Shredder, and they use the same song in the apartment fire scene when April's apartment goes on fire. It's a really good song, and I forget who it's composed by. But anyway, the very end of that, they rescue Shredder, and this is the first time April is meeting him. And she goes, oh God, do you think he'll be... And then right before she can finish, Splinter wakes up and goes, Miss O'Neill. And she goes, Splinter, and her eyes are just... They're not only wide, but they're watery.
Oh, yes.
And he's like, oh, I'm happy that you remember me, but why are you crying? And she's just like, I just thought I'd never be able to meet you and see you and thank you for saving my life.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Then,
I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Dude, and then all the turtles are looking at them while she's holding his hands, and Casey's looking at them, they're all smiling like, aw, man. Like, the Raphael reuniting moment was amazing.
Yeah.
And then they hit you again with this one.
Yeah.
And then my
Fire.
favorite in Volume 2 was, I don't even know, man. The History of the Foot Clan.
History of the Foot Clan was bussin'. City made a light. Ooh.
Oh my god, dude.
That last page.
You know what? I know what it is. It's so Casey's dad.
Yeah.
Who gets crazy development too, by the way.
Yes, everybody
Literally everybody
gets a character arc. Like I said, even the pizza guy. I was talking with my homeboy Sin, and I was like, man, everybody gets an arc, bro. Like, this is some of the best character writing that there is in a plot-driven story. Like, it's equal parts character and plot-driven, which is a crazy balance to reach. And I was telling him about it, and he was like, even the pizza guy? And I thought about it for a sec, and I was like, yeah, even the pizza guy gets an arc.
He's like, dude, don't worry, I got you. I got your antipasto for fucking Splinter. Don't worry about it.
Well, remember, because the first time that you get the first Slash arc, right? And then Slash is running around doing crazy shit, and he like runs amok throughout the pizza joint. You know what I mean? And And then Woody leaves a note, like outside. He's like, yo, I'm still gonna keep supplying you pizzas, but like, you people keep bringing crazy drama to my life. Like, I can't fuck with y'all no more. Like, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry, Donnie. I'm sorry, Raph. I'm sorry, Leo. Even Splinter. I can't fuck with y'all no more because, like, my life is in danger being your friend. And he leaves that note out for Mikey. Mikey grabs the pizza. He's crying on the way home. He's like, Woody, don't fuck with us no more. And then later on, Woody develops. He grows. He changes his stance on that. And he comes back in as a great friend. And it's just an amazing feeling that even a character as insignificant as Woody gets growth.
He even helps Mikey do like recon work. He's like driving around like under the guise of making deliveries, which he does make some actual deliveries on the way.
Right.
But at the beginning of that, he's just like, dude, I'm sorry that I said that to you, and I'm sorry that I was trifling. And Mikey was like, dude, fall back. It ain't even like that.
It ain't even like that. We good. Say no more. You know what I'm saying? Dap me up. Let me get my pizza. I'll see you next Tuesday. You know what I'm saying?
and extra cheese next time because you didn't put enough cheese.
Right.
But like, my favorite. Okay, so here's the thing. So Casey's dad is in the beginning. I won't say what happens to him later, but in the beginning,
we're in the spoiler. Oh yeah. First two volumes.
Two volumes. Yeah. In the beginning, which I guess this isn't super spoiler because it's literally at the first issue or second issue that you see what he is. But like, he's a drunk. Casey lost his mom. Ever since then, he kind of hit the bottle. He's also the kind of dad who's like wants their kid to be really good at sports, and Casey plays hockey, and he's wants to vicariously. It's a
very relatable, very sympathetic, very I don't want to say trite, but it is used kind of a lot, where you have a character who grows up in a slum kind of area with a shitty dad who beats him for some kind of reason that you kind of agree with, but obviously at the end of the day you can't. You know what I mean? Like, obviously Casey's dad was going through a lot with the death of his wife and everything, and he goes, he leans into alcoholism, so we all know how that can change people. So there's a lot of relatability in that area, but at the end of the day he's still beating his kids, so you're like, fuck this guy. That's very common. You know what I mean? Like, you see that dynamic a lot in fiction. You know what I mean? Because it's so real world.
Yes.
But the direction they take Casey's dad beyond that is something, again, that I was just not expecting inside of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They establish things that are familiar, and then you go, okay, I know what to expect from this because it's familiar, and it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're not gonna go too far out of the way to subvert expectations. Oh no.
No.
Oh no.
And
they zag very often where you think it's gonna zig. Yeah.
By the way, and before I finish my thing, I want to expand on Noxi's point here. Let me just remind all of you, you're literally reading a book about mutant turtles.
That's right.
And it gets really real.
Oh yeah.
I had a moment today where I was reading in volume 8, which I won't say what it is, but like
Sure.
Mikey and Raph were talking, brother to brother.
Yep.
And I had a moment where I was like, man, my brother's, I would still literally kill anyone who would hurt him or take him away.
There it
from me.
is.
I literally would.
There
And
it is.
it made me have a lot of thought. So like,
Yes.
before you say anything, it's like, oh, it's the fucking Turtles and Splinter and Bebop and Rocksteady and Mutagen Man, whatever.
Yeah.
It gets too real.
It gets
and,
too
like,
real almost sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just to cut in for a second, you know what I mean? Because it's like when you are thinking about the way that it is so different from what you were expecting, you remember that it's like this creative team understands these characters so well. And even though they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a monster, of a cast that, doesn't really have too much to do with us as humans, still can be very human all of the time, like pretty much all the time. But they're still turtles at the end of the day too. They do a great. There's, like what I was saying, there's that calming balance throughout the series where it's like, okay, I relate to these characters in these moments, but then they also do a really good job of not over-humanizing them and reminding you that they are still different from us. And they embrace that difference, and they understand that difference. They're not trying to be human. They understand that there's human qualities to them now that they've achieved this level of sentience, but they are still turtles at the end of the day, and they lean into that too. It's fire.
Which I relate in my own way.
Absolutely.
Too, which
oh my
is,
God, I
you
never
don't
even
think
thought
you're
about
going
that
to.
before.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It's fucking nuts.
Whoa, that's amazing. I
Yeah,
love
you
that
feel
for
me?
you.
Like,
yes.
And I'll tell you what, like, me and my brother have been bitches to each other most of our lives, but I'll literally fucking slice your neck, like, if you fuck with
Ride or
me.
die. You gotta.
Dude, you have
That's
to.
blood.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
just fucking, it's amazing. So like,
Yeah.
which makes which makes the reason why this is my favorite part in the volume 2 was,
Yes.
so Casey comes to the lair battered, and he doesn't fight back against his dad because he promised his mom that he would take care of his dad.
Yes.
And Raph goes nuts because that's his best friend.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, he did it again. Fuck that. I'm going to go end it right now. That's
Yep.
enough.
Yep. I've had enough. That's the
And-
straw that broke the camel's back.
And Splinter goes after him and says, okay, you guys stay here, take care of Casey. I'm going to go get your brother. So then they're fighting. And
Raph gets there first.
Raph gets there first.
He kicks the door in, beats the brakes off of Casey's dad.
He literally beats the 7 shades of shit out of him. And he's on the ground. And Splinter shows up and is like, listen, let's talk for a minute. Okay? And then, they sort it out. And it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do? And he's like, Casey will stay with us.
Yep.
And Raph was like, for real? He's like, yeah, absolutely.
Deadass.
He's like,
Say
at
less,
this point,
pops.
he's like, at this point, he's family. That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
Right.
And so, right as they're walking, he's like, go get Casey's stuff, and I'm gonna tell this guy to shut the fuck up real quick. So then Raphael packs like a garbage bag of all his stuff and clothes. And then as they're walking out, of course, being the drunk jackass he is, he goes, yeah, that's right, you better leave. Whatever. What kind of monsters are you anyways? So then Splinter turns around and goes, you ask what kind of monsters we are? What kind of man are you?
Ooh.
And it's like, bro. Bodied. First of all, there go your knees, and then there goes your ego. Like, you
Yes.
two-timing bitch. Like, it's so good.
Oh, I love him. Oh, I love the whole
Love him,
cast.
dude.
Oh, I love the whole series.
So good.
It's so
good.
fire. It's so fire.
Yeah. So ever since you finished,
Yeah.
you've been running it up with everyone.
Yeah, I'm month to month now, or whatever. I'm current. I'm caught up in the series, and I confidently say, along with pretty much everyone else who's caught up with me, that this is the best ongoing comic that any of us are reading. And it's hard to believe, I bet, if you haven't jumped into it, you know what I mean? And if you're still here, despite spoilers, like, I'm telling you right now, like, I read a lot of comic books, man. You know what I mean? Like, me and Sam, we out here, we in the trenches. You know what I'm saying?
I'm literally about to restart Deadly Class, and
yes,
like, I got to start from the beginning, which I haven't even
Deadly
seen the
Class
show.
incredible too. I'd probably put Deadly Class second in my ongoing Western
really?
series right now. Yeah. Deadly Class is phenomenal, and we could do an episode about that too if you want in the future. Whenever you do that shit for real. But like, yeah, I got Deadly Class at number 2 right now.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think of the last time I was having this much fun.
Yeah.
Reading a Western comic, and I think
It's been a while.
I think it was Kick-Ass 3.
Okay.
And because I still haven't started the new Kick-Ass, the new one with the lady, the veteran lady.
I'm not familiar with Kick-Ass. I never like legitimately read it. I've only seen the movies, but
okay,
I know that,
I won't tell you how it ends.
Well, I know that Mark Millar was like going crazy in that series, and I know that there was a reason why it was adapted. My good buddy Kichi, that you might know from the Comics HQ, is a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, big Deadly Class fan, but like massive Kick-Ass fan at the same time.
Sick.
You get along with him well. Yeah, he's the one you want to talk to about Kick-Ass for sure.
Yeah, he was going nuts. It was kind of nuts.
Yeah.
And the end of Kick-Ass 3, I won't say, but like,
Sure.
I was kind of like, well, that was kind of wild. Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
it's something crazy. But like, there's some things that Millar writes that are kind of like, they get really dark in terms of like, because the whole point of Kick-Ass is like, dude, this is not a comic book, this is real life. Like, you can't be doing, if you do shit like this in real life, you're actually psychotic, right?
Right.
And that's what the villains were doing, like, towards, in the second one and in the third one.
Mark Millar can get really dark. He's really good at dark twists.
Yeah, that's why Nemesis. That's why I love Nemesis too. But like, yeah, I think it was Kick-Ass 3 for sure. It was Deadly Class and Kick-Ass 3, and then I stopped buying comics. I just had to. I think I had to save money, and I just kind of forgot about it.
For sure.
But
for sure.
I was going through a box of comics that Trisha found in the closet the other day.
Yeah.
Because we were cleaning out shit and we're trying to get rid of a bunch of shit.
Right.
And I have like Deadly Class number 1 through like 8, 1 through 7.
Ooh.
I have a Harley Quinn number 1 from the New 52.
Oh, nice. I can't remember who's writing it's Suicide Squad, isn't it? It's not is it a solo from New 52? Did Harley Quinn have a solo in the New 52?
She did, yeah. She like,
oh wow, okay.
She leaves the Joker.
That's another one that Kichi will be a great. Kichi is a Harley stan. You and Kichi would be best fucking friends. Oh my god! Shout out to Kichi. Have to say it real quick. Shout out to my guy Kichi, man.
Shout out to Kichi. Let's go, dude.
Yes.
Dude, yeah. Harley, she leaves, she moves, and she tries to get an apartment, and she's like, okay, well, I guess I have to be a fucking doctor again, so let's just fucking do that. So she gets like a position as a therapist again, which is hilarious. And then she's just literally. The girl
she's back on her Harley and Quinzel arc.
Yeah, she's literally just trying to live her life, and people keep fucking with her, dude. It's so, like, you get annoyed for her, but then you kind of start questioning, like, okay, she's kind of bringing some of this on herself, because, like, she's got, like, this sense of, like, radical justice, where it's like, okay, don't, like, if it's one thing I hate, it's bullies, which is, like, what Raph says, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Harley kind of feels the need to, like, inject herself and kind of fuck with people, because they're bullies. But anyway, fucking Harley Quinn tangent. I'll just tell you this right now. I'm not even. There's 13 trades out right now. 13 volumes of this, and I'm on the very first part of volume 8, which is the micro series called Bebop and Rocksteady Destroy Everything. And I won't fucking say what it is. It's not exactly, the word destroy is used very broad here, we'll just say. But like it's I can't believe it. Like I just like, I'm gonna be honest with you, after we're done recording, you know, I'm gonna render audio and do whatever. While it's rendering, I'm gonna be reading this. It's just, I don't want it to end, and I know it's gonna end at some point. I didn't think I would get this far this quick, but
nobody does.
Nobody does. And then you fucking
like, I'll read this casually, you know what I mean? It's pretty daunting. There's like 119 issues, and that's just the main run. There's probably like, you know, just as many, you know, side stories and whatnot. So it's a chunky read. But once you get past a certain point, you're like, oh no, this is all I'm doing in my free time until I'm caught up. And then it gets to a point where you get closer to being caught up and you're like, I don't want to be caught up. It's like One Piece. Everyone's like, I don't want to start One Piece. It's 1,000 chapters. It's, you know what I mean? And they say whatever. And then, you know, you get past Arlong Park or you get past a certain arc and you're here forever. And you're mad when you catch up. That's why I've never understood the daunting criticism. Like it's too hard to get into, or it's too intimidating to get into, because it's like, okay, well, just don't think of it as, you know, 1,000 chapters. Just don't think of it as 500 issues. Just don't think of it as whatever. Think of it as like, you know, what's the farthest you've ever gotten in something? What's the most you've ever seen it? Would you watch Naruto? That's like 700 fucking episodes. Okay, treat it like it's 700 episodes instead of 1,000. You know what I mean? And then you know, once you get past a certain point, you're here forever. You know what I mean?
Actually, that's exactly true. And I was trying not to compare it to like reading manga. But like
it is though.
It absolutely is. It's just we get it monthly.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a lot to look at when you're brand new. You're looking at that shit and you're like, man, there's a lot here. But it's great the whole time. I feel like the issue people have is that they have FOMO. You know what I mean? They're like, I want to be caught up. I want to be in the current discussion. I want to be in the week to week. I want to be in the month to month. And they think that it's only going to be good once they're current or once they're caught up or something. It's like, no, it's good the whole time.
No,
you're gonna have a great time.
Is. It absolutely is.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
And so I'll say it just because if I think about it, when talking about manga, you know, of course we get things monthly as they get things weekly and monthly.
Right.
But like the last time I had this much fun reading a comic was a couple weeks ago. I got caught up on Undead Unluck.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And also, I started Nehru and Red Hood, by the way.
Oh, nice. How are you liking those?
Dude, it's... Nehru's so good. Like,
okay, so I read the first issue of I read the first chapter of Nehru, and I read the first, like, 2 chapters of Red Hood. I haven't been back since, not because they're bad or anything, but just because we know how, like... Yeah. Well, 1, I'm busy, and 2, like, we know how Weekly Shonen Jump kind of goes with things. If I read the first chapter or the first couple of chapters or something, and it doesn't, like, jump out and fucking grab me and, like, pull me in, then I'm gonna, like, let it cook, and I'm gonna let it build, and I'm gonna see if Weekly Shonen Jump
let the seasoning get in there, let the ginger get in there.
Yeah, well, and a lot of it is because, like, I don't want to get too invested with a series that Weekly Shonen Jump is just going to arbitrarily axe or cancel, you know, for whatever reasons that they have, you know what I mean? And now, now before that point, you know, if someone wants to come to me and go, Nox, no, you need to read this right now, and it's a credible source, then all right, I'm back in the series. But if I don't get that, like, really potent recommendation, you know, then I will wait. I'm kind of in a mood now where I kind of want to wait to see if it gets axed before I spend that much time with something.
Sure.
Because, like, Phantom Seer got axed for no reason. You know what I mean? And I was reviewing that weekly, and I just don't want to go through that again. We've had 2 series on our shows that have been axed now. Not Elusive Samurai, but Samurai 8 from Kishimoto got axed, and now Phantom Seer has been axed. So I'm at a point now where I'm just like, okay, like I'm just gonna chill if it didn't jump out and grab me, and I'm gonna wait until, like, one of my, like, really good friends says, no, you need to go back to it. Or once it gets past, like, chapter 40 or 50 and I know that it's staying forever, then I'll go jump back into it. So that's kind of where I'm at with manga.
Right. And it's another reason too, like, why there's oftentimes Noxi gets questions like, why don't you cover this, and this, and it's like, I can't just put that on. Like, you don't understand.
Right.
Like, I can't.
It don't work like that.
No,
yeah, there's a structure here.
Right.
There's a formula. There's a process. You got to trust it.
Yeah, exactly. But like, honestly, yeah, reading Tokyo Revengers and reading Undead Unluck is the same. I'm getting the same feeling.
Undead Unluck is incredible. This is another slept-on series that I need everyone to read. If my word and Sam's word mean anything to you, Undead Unluck looks like you know everything that it's about when you first start reading it, especially with that first chapter, because the first chapter is very polarizing. It has a very intense, hot button subject inside of it that a lot of people, including myself, originally dropped the series for right at chapter 1, because I was like, nope, I'm good on this. This is stupid. And they're playing into, like, really weird ideas that I don't relate to. And then I dropped it. And then, 15, 20, 23, maybe 30 chapters max into the series, someone's like, oh, no. You got to go back and do this again and get to, like, chapter 10. I think it was Nickums on my show was like, read to chapter 10. Then our good buddy Yato Gami on Twitter, very close friend of mine at this point. Yato's the GOAT. was like, yep, he's like number one advocate for Undead Unluck that I know. He's like, nope, go back and try it again. And I'm like, okay, enough people have told me that my initial criticism of the first chapter does not exist beyond that. So I was like, okay, and what do you know? It's just not a thing anymore. I don't know why they promoted it the way that they did and why that was such a big thing in the first chapter, but it's like night and day past that, and it just becomes one of the best series in Jump after about chapter 9 and 10, in my opinion.
It absolutely is. Yeah. It's the power system in it is
fire.
Oh my god, dude.
Fire.
Jeez.
Such unexpected fire. Like, you get Hunter x Hunter vibes in so many points in the series. If you're a big Hunter x Hunter fan, read Undead Unluck for that. If you're not a big Hunter x Hunter fan, there's an incredible romance element in it, contrary to popular belief. Especially considering the first chapter. There is just an amazing world building element to it that you just don't expect. It's just like a very unique series in pretty much every way. And the main characters are Wolverine and Rogue, if you're an X-Men fan.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is now a Weekly Shonen Jump podcast. Everyone shut up.
Hey, if it's comics and Weekly Shonen Jump, I'm so interchangeable in those
Let's
areas.
do it.
Like,
Let's
I'm
do it.
always
Yeah,
in my
dude.
bag. You know what I mean? For those
So,
things.
I got to tell you this, too. Like, I've had, every time, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm fucking good at what I do. Every time I have a guest on, I always get comments. It doesn't matter if it's the same person or different people every week. They're always like, dude, can we hear more of Noxi? Can we hear more of Mario? Can we hear more of, and they love my cousin Mario. Like, they fucking.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Dude, can we get more Nickum?
Weebology. Yeah.
We get more Weebology, dude.
Yeah.
And yeah, me and Noxi, we just get really busy, all right? So like,
we go back like a Cadillac with 4 flats, and we come together like Voltron. You know what I'm saying? Both of our teams, Anime Summit and Project Manga, we're all close at this point. We've been fucking with each other for a while. It's always going to be a good time.
So I'll tell you what, if you start TMNT because of this pod, and you want to hear me and Noxi talk about it again when you're caught up,
Holla at your guala.
I'm gonna tack on it. I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna put here's like this right now. First of all, I got a little cork board right next to me. Okay.
Ooh.
We're gonna put 2 tacks. That's Noxi and me who read TMNT, right? Yep. Every time I add a tack, it's someone we got into TMNT because of this episode. Yes. And when that gets to 5 or 6 or maybe 7, we'll do another one going up to like volume 4 or 5 or something.
Lovely.
Or we'll just like cover like City Fall and Northampton and or something like that.
Something like that. Beautiful. I love the idea.
But yeah, if you want to talk about Deadly Class, I'm about to. After I'm caught up with this and the rest of the manga I'm reading.
Yeah,
I'm gonna restart Deadly Class again. How many?
Let me know.
Is Deadly Class? How many issues are out right now?
47 issues, monthly, ongoing.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
It started forever ago, though, right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there was a pretty drastic hiatus for it. I don't know how long it was because I started reading after the return was confirmed. So it was on hiatus for however long. You might want to ask Kichi how long it was on hiatus, or you can just Google it, obviously, because we have the totality of human knowledge in the palm of our hands. But
right,
if when I started reading it, Kichi put me onto it, and he's like, "This is incredible. You'd love it." Boop 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 boop. And I was like, "What's going on with it? Is it ongoing?" He was like, "Yeah, it was just on a crazy hiatus, but it's coming back, and the new issue comes out, in a couple weeks or whatever." And I was like, "All right, well, great time to start it." And then I started it, and by the time I caught up, the most recent chapter came out that following Wednesday, right on time. And yeah, so beautiful, beautiful series.
I remember it being really fucking cool, and also the main character is like Latino, so like I'm all about that.
Absolutely. I can give a quick non-spoiler synopsis for it because it's tight. Because the main character Marcus is like this. Yeah, the main character Marcus is like this homeless cat. He's like this young, like I think he's 14 maybe, or something like that when the series starts, and he's like down on his luck. He's contemplating very dark things. You know what I mean? He's just a homeless dude who's basically been shat on his entire life. At the peak of his depression, he's approached by an old Asian man that says like, "Hey, your life looks like it kind of sucks. do you want it to like not suck anymore? And he's like, well, what do you mean, old man? And he's like, well, there's a system that put you here, right? You know what I mean? Capitalism, whatever, you know, political stuff, relatable political stuff. This takes place in like the late 80s and when the series starts. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's Reagan stuff. You know what I mean? And he's like, there's a system that puts you here. Do you want to fight back against that system? Because I have an entire league of assassins that I train from scratch to fight back against the very system that put you in this position. Take my hand, come to King's Dominion, and I'll train you to be a cold-blooded assassin. And that's how the series starts. It's so tight! And the main character's motivation is like, I got you. I will join you if you make me tight enough to kill Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I will fuck with you if you promise me you will give me the skills to kill this president. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm here forever.
Dude, I totally forgot that part. Yeah. Dude, and I'll tell you this. There's a TV show which I haven't seen, but the Mark Miller's Wanted, right? The movie that they adapted it from with Angelina Jolie and James McAvoy.
Yep.
Is a very different. It's a whole different kind of thing.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, the plot of the movie version of Wanted.
Yeah.
Is what Deadly Class does it better.
Yeah. Hey, you want to know what? Yes, I've seen the movie for Wanted. Deadly Class feels like a fully realized comic book version of it.
Yes.
I've never read Mark Millar's. Or Mark Millar. I'm not entirely sure exactly how to pronounce it. I know he's Scottish, so it's probably Mark Millar.
He's from Scotland.
Yeah. But him and Grant Morrison are like best friends. I love them. But or maybe they were best friends at one point. I don't know where they're at now. But anyway, I love Grant Morrison, love Mark Millar, but I'm only familiar with Mark Millar inside of superhero comics for like inside of like the big two, mainly Marvel. So I've never read any of his indie stuff. You know what I mean? But I know that he did Wanted. I know that he did Kick-Ass. And I've gotten like drastic recommendations from my good buddy Kichi once again, and now Sam to read Kick-Ass. So I think
also
it's time
read
to jump
Superior
into
and
indie.
Nemesis. Read Superior and Nemesis.
Superior and Nemesis. Okay, so good. So I'm glad that you're not saying like Jupiter's Ascending, because I know that just got an adaptation and people said that shit was buns, and I know
It's
that's
right.
Mark Millar. I think
Starlight
that might be
is
a rare
good.
fumble from him. Yeah.
Oh, and MPH. Read MPH too.
Neil Patrick Harris. I'm just kidding.
MPH. Dude,
I love that
guy. He was great in White Castle.
yeah, and in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, dude, How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah. But okay, so MPH, what's that?
Dude, okay, it's this guy. He gets a bottle of pills.
Yeah.
And you eat one or you take one, and you become the Flash. Like not literally, but you get that power, hypersonic speed.
Yo.
So he starts doing shit like, let me try and rob a bank real quick. And then he tells one person, and then they're like, let me get in on it. And they're like, okay, well, I only got so many, like, fuck off. Like, you know. And then it starts becoming a problem. It just unravels from there. It's nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, and Superior is good. It's only like 5 issues, and Nemesis is only 4 issues. So, like, you can get them. It's
Real
just one
quick.
book.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And I really wish they would adapt. They said they were going to adapt Nemesis and Superior, and they were optioned by 20th Century Fox, but it never happened. But Nemesis is actually super, like, there's a part in it that's really gross. And so, like, I don't know if they would...
content warning, trigger warning, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah. So, like... Yeah, but, like, it's still, like, it's really good. It's the... I'll tell you what. I'll just say this about Nemesis. Rich people are fucked up. Like, they're more fucked up than you think they are, and this comic tells you why. Like, but yeah, dude. Like, oh, God, now I feel like I gotta... You know what? I think I'm gonna have to just catch up on all my manga and then just read Western comics for like the next month here. Because,
let me know. You know what
I'm going nutty.
Let me know when you. I mean, like especially inside of the indie stuff, you know what I mean. And I've been arguing with people on Twitter about recently about how hard it is to get into Western comics. So if you're like a manga or an anime fan and you've made it to this far in the episode, getting started with Western comics does not have to be as hard as the overall kind of consensus outside of comic book readers seems to seems to think. You know what I mean? Like, because you hear things your whole life about how there's a million writers for every character, there's so many retcons, and there's all of these universes and continuities, and that's all true.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
all true. That is all true. That's something that you just can't escape from inside of Western publication lines like Marvel and DC, because they want everlasting they want mythologies. You know what I mean? They want long running, you know, universal stories. You know what I mean? So like, you have to deal with that because DC's like almost 100 years old. You think it's going to be one writer on Superman the whole time for 100 years?
Well, yeah.
No,
Why do you think
Siegel
they
and
did the
Schuster are both dead? You know what I mean? So Bob Kane is dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, so like, what can you do? Just stop writing Batman? No, it's not
can't
like
do
manga, and you need to just understand that superhero comics do not behave like manga. That's the first thing you need to understand. Now that you know that, and now that you've kind of jumped over that hurdle or that barrier, you will have an incredible time. Because one, we're in the age of information. All of that, like, different continuities, different writers, confusing plot lines, retcons, all of that stuff goes out the window with the internet. Because you can easily Google search reading order for whatever character you want.
It's
And you know
literally
what I
out
mean?
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
out there. And even if you don't want to like put in the effort to get into Western comics, because I do understand that it is very daunting, even though there's a through line there, you can read all of these stories in order if you want to, and it's just like starting anything new. If you are interested enough, you will put in the effort to become knowledgeable in that field.
You will
know
make
what
the
I mean?
dive.
Period. It's like starting literally anything new. So if you don't want to put in that effort, then just read indies. They behave the exact same way as manga. It's issue 1 to whatever, you know, unless you're going into an expanded universe like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which of course there is collected versions of the material that put everything in chronological order for you.
Yep.
So all of those complaints just go out the window at this point in time. You know what I mean? Ever since 2005 or 2010 at the latest, we have had very easily accessible Western comics that completely shit on the idea that it's too complicated to get into. So if you need help, holler at me or Sam, join the Comics HQ. Anybody in there, my good buddy Retro, anybody will be able to help you. My good buddy Boricua Mihawk. These are all incredible people inside of that community that live to get people started on comics, that think it's too hard. So
Yeah.
we're letting you know it's not as hard as you think. Holler at us if you need help. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, and I'll just say this too, like, shit, what was I gonna say? Like, I felt the same way. Like, so when I started getting into HeroClix, I wasn't reading comics.
Sure.
I just wanted a new game to learn how to play. So, you know, I knew what I knew, but
Right.
obviously when I was buying boosters, I would get, you know, 50 to 70% of my booster pack that I would open, I wouldn't know who the characters were, you know,
Right.
like, and so I started reading comics because I wanted to know, like, and I was fine jumping right. Like, look, the first HeroClix tournament I ever did
Yeah.
was an event for Civil War, because it was going on at the time.
Like 2006 to 2000 and what, like 8 or 9, I think.
Yep.
is when that was going on.
Yep. And I think like the last issue, issue 7 and the last 2 issues
Sure.
were about to come out, so they wanted to do this event.
Yeah.
And so basically the way you had to build your team was it either had to have Cap or Iron Man in it. It couldn't have both. So like, and then you brought your team to do the tournament.
Yeah.
And so I went back and read Civil War because I was like, I want to know what this is all about, because there's a whole fucking HeroClix event on this bitch, right?
Right.
There
And
were
that
some
event
things
is
in
massive.
there.
There's hella tie-ins for it. Like, there's the main series or whatever, but there's hella tie-ins for it too. So,
Yeah,
like,
yep. And every comic
yeah.
is labeled, so it'll be like an
Right.
issue of Wolverine, and it'll say Civil War at the bottom.
Absolutely. So I recommend, just first and foremost, before you continue, if you are going to read the Civil War event and you need help, obviously holler at me. But if not, make sure you read like the entire event with all the tie-ins, because that really gives you context to everything else that's going on, especially inside of like the Frontline tie-in series, where it shows like, you know, what the ground level of the Civil War looks like for regular people, which is an amazing perspective that makes a lot of shit make a lot of sense. You know what I mean? So like, a lot of people don't like the Civil War event for one reason or another. You know what I mean? And a lot of it is nitpicky from what I've seen. But at the end of the day, a lot of the complaints come from people who like only read the event and not the tie-ins. So
Yeah, so that was what I was gonna say was
Yeah.
there was a lot of things I didn't understand. There was a few
Right.
things I like didn't get, like, oh, why is this character doing this now?
Mm-hmm.
I would just go on the internet or I would go find the comic and read it
Yeah.
online or otherwise, on at the
Boom.
store, whatever.
Boom.
So, and there's apps now, okay? There's fucking
There's
Marvel apps and DC
now,
apps.
Comixology, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, if you're really down bad, there are ways to read comics online for free. I'm not going to tell you where, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? We got the internet in the palm of our hands. So.
You know what I know what you know.
Right.
And so, like, I mean, and that was, and let me tell you this, that was the first time I was introduced to Mark Millar and Steve McNiven as a duo, and
Yeah.
they did Nemesis. So, like, yeah, fucking crazy.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyway, you should just read TMNT 1 and 2.
Yeah, read the IDW collection of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Specifically, it has to say the IDW collection. Like, if you go anywhere and you try to read it on Comixology or wherever you're going to read it, and you type in TMNT or you type in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you'll get a couple options. It'll say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mirage, Archie, IDW Publishing. All of that stuff doesn't matter. It needs to say the IDW collection, because those are the compendiums that bake the side stories and organically weave them in chronological order into the compendium for you, so that you can get the entire story from front to back the way you're supposed to read it. You don't have to worry about confusing anything. It's all there for you.
Yeah, and I was wondering why Noxi was telling me that,
Yeah.
and then he was like, because it has little micro stories in it, and I'm
Right.
like, I don't want to read those. Like, those are dumb.
Yes, you do.
Whatever.
And
then
everyone
it's
says
like,
that. Everyone says that.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing, is that, like, when I was reading the IDW collection for the first time, I got to spin-offs and micro series, and I was like, do I really need all of these? You know what I mean? And if it's in the IDW collection, you absolutely do need it, because no matter how arbitrary you think the micro series that you're reading at a time is, or the spin-off series that you're reading at a time is, it all eventually is called back to. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be reading a mainline issue and then see, you know, have a confusing line of dialogue where you're like, I have no idea what they're referencing or what they're talking about. And then you get a narration, a yellow narration square that says, peep the Bebop and Rocksteady micro to know what this is talking about. And it's like, well, what the fuck? You don't want to be there. You know what I mean? You want to understand everything that's happening at all times. And there were times where I was reading micros and spin-offs and tie-ins where I was like, oh my God, can I just get through this and get back to the main story? And then by the end of the spin-off or by the end of the micro series, I'm like, okay, I loved this, first of all. And two, I have a better understanding of this world now, because I didn't think that it was going to be this canon. So it all makes sense eventually, even in times where you think it's going to be bad. Just stick with it and you'll be like, oh no, that was actually really good. I'm stupid. You know,
that's exactly what happened to me. I was like, okay,
yes,
well, I'm
me
a
too.
fucking idiot.
Yeah,
You
me
know,
too.
like-
Exactly. I thought I could predict this series. I thought, because I have this huge wealth of Western comic book and manga experience and fictional storytelling experience, I was like, I know what they're going to do here. I know what they're going to do there. I was a douche about it. And then, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles humbled me. It humbled the fuck out of me. You know what I mean? In that way.
Please read the IDW collection of TMNT, Volume 1 and 2. After
Yes.
you read those first two volumes, holla at both of us.
Yes.
Let us know. And then
Please.
please, if I let you down, then I will commit Sudoku on my face. Okay, no problem.
Not Sudoku. I will commit Sudoku on my face. You will see a 9x9, tic-tac-toe board
9 by
filled with numbers.
numbers. I'll put a 9.
Or maybe it's 3x3. I can't.
Is it-
I don't math. Whatever.
It's like 25 or something. I don't
I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't. I didn't do good in school.
I'm not
Anyway,
a numbers guy. That's why we have people like Kiko.
that's why we have Kiko. Yeah,
Yeah,
I miss Kiko.
me too.
Yeah, me too. Just got real sad. I was like- no, but no, seriously. Yeah, read it, come back, and then be like, "Wow, Simon Noxi, you're absolutely right about everything all the time." And I'm
Love
gonna
to
be
hear
like,
it.
"Yeah, we fucking know.
Of course we know. We knew the whole time.
We knew.
We knew back in the first volume when you said this isn't really hitting for me. We knew back in the second volume maybe when you said this isn't really hitting for me yet. But once you get to that secret history of the Foot Clan, if you're still not really feeling it, we got to have a conversation about some things.
Then we'll have to talk
Yeah.
in person."
Yeah. But if you make it to volume 3, oh my God, you are in for some shit. It is a sight to behold inside of comic books, let me tell you.
Agree.
Yeah.
So yes, please do that. Noxi, thanks for joining me. You all know where you can follow Noxi, dude. Project MANGA OFC on Twitter.
Yep.
Noxi_PM on Twitter.
Yep.
Dude, and Comics HQ. I won't put a link to the Discord in this episode description because it might expire.
Sure.
But like,
I can give you the infinite one too.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Then I'll put that in the episode description. There it is. Otherwise, and if you're listening to it on and you want to talk to me, just hit me up on Discord, and I'll give it to you too. But like, honestly, it's gonna be lit. Like, I can't wait to like finish reading.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy. So please, please read it.
You're only on volume 8. You got like 4 more volumes after that, and like I said, it's just continually increasing quality. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't stagnate. It doesn't plateau. It just keeps getting better and better until you're caught up. Period.
It hasn't. It literally is better every arc as it goes along. It's nuts.
Yes.
So yes, please read it. Please read it, and also follow Noxi. And you want to hear more Noxi? You let me know, and I'll make sure I'll drag his ass back over here. And we can do it up and stuff. We got more things coming. I won't tell you what it is because I'm fucking Miss Claus, and I don't want to fucking tell you. I'm gonna give it a little gift, little something, Christmas in July type shit. So, well, it's August now, right? Shit. Okay, whatever.
You know what it is.
You know what I meant. Yeah. Fuck off. But anyway, thank you, Noxi, again.
Absolutely.
Fucking love you, brother Nox. You're the best.
Love you too, sister. Seriously. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. And so I've been Sam. That's been Noxi from Project MANGA.